Imagine walking into a room and instantly knowing who is trustworthy, who is hiding something, and who is about to tell a lie without hearing a single word. What if you could read people like an open book just by watching their body language? Every gesture, every glance, every subtle movement reveals a secret message. In this book, former FBI counterintelligence agent Joe Navarro reveals the hidden world of nonverbal communication, the silent signals that speak louder than words. Get ready to unlock the power of reading people's bodies and discover the truth behind what they're really saying. Ready? Let's dive into Chapter 1 and start decoding the silent language all around us. Chapter 1. The Silent Language of the Body. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt something was off, without anyone saying a word? Maybe you noticed the nervous tapping of someone's foot, a brief tightening around the mouth, or eyes that darted a little too quickly. What you were sensing wasn't paranoia. You were reading the unspoken language we all speak, yet few of us consciously understand: body language. Welcome to the fascinating world of nonverbal intelligence. In this chapter, we're going to uncover how your body speaks volumes, even when your mouth is silent. And you'll learn why, according to former FBI agent Joe Navarro, mastering this hidden language could be your greatest personal and professional asset. 1. The FBI agent who listened with his eyes. Joe Navarro wasn't your typical investigator. As a seasoned FBI counterintelligence officer, his job wasn't just to catch spies, it was to decode them. He didn't rely on high-tech gadgets or dramatic interrogations. Instead, he watched closely. Over the years, Joe became an expert at noticing the subtle twitch of a hand, a tightening jaw, or how someone's feet pointed toward the exit during questioning. These signs, often ignored by others, told Joe when someone was anxious, hiding something, or ready to flee. He realized something profound. The body whispers what the mind tries to hide. And once he began trusting those whispers, he caught criminals not by chasing them, but by reading them. 2. The language without words. You don't need to speak to communicate. In fact, research suggests that more than 60% of communication is nonverbal. Before we ever spoke a single word as a species, we relied on facial expressions, gestures, and postures to survive. Body language is primal. It's hardwired into our nervous system, and most importantly, it's honest. When someone says they're fine, but their shoulders are tense, their hands are clenched, and their eyes are averted, you know better. Navarro teaches us to stop focusing on the words and instead tune into what the body is saying, because the body doesn't lie. 3. Comfort versus discomfort, the core principle. Here's one of Joe's most important lessons. Forget trying to catch people lying. Instead, ask yourself this: are they comfortable or uncomfortable? All nonverbal behavior falls into these two categories. Comfort behaviors: relaxed posture, genuine smiles, open gestures, stable breathing, and confident movement. Discomfort behaviors: fidgeting, face touching, foot tapping, lip biting, defensive arms, throat clearing. It's not about labeling someone as deceptive. It's about noticing when something causes internal tension. That's the cue. That's when the body starts leaking the truth. Navarro calls these tells, clues that someone is under stress, feels threatened, or wants to flee. 4. Establish the baseline before you judge. Imagine this. You meet someone who avoids eye contact and constantly fidgets. You assume they're lying. But what if that's just how they always behave? That's why Navarro insists, observe a person's baseline. That means watching how someone behaves under relaxed, non-threatening conditions. Only when their behavior changes, when they deviate from their norm, should you take notice. For example, A person who normally speaks fluidly starts hesitating after a tough question. Someone who usually smiles starts tightening their lips and turning away. These deviations are gold. They suggest internal conflict. And that's where truth hides. 5. The power of observation. We live in a world addicted to words. We text, type, and talk all day, but rarely observe. Joe Navarro learned to slow down and see. He teaches us to watch facial expressions before a person responds verbally. Observe their hands. Are they relaxed or restless? Notice posture shifts, leaning away or curling inward. Glance at their feet, pointing toward the door. Each movement offers data. Each gesture is a message. The better you observe, the more truth you'll uncover. 6. Why the face is the great liar. It might shock you, but the face is often the least reliable part of the body. Why? Because we train our faces to lie. We fake smiles. We mask fear. We perform for others with rehearsed expressions. But the rest of the body? That's much harder to fake. Our hands, feet, legs, and posture are far more honest indicators of what we're feeling inside. So while the face can deceive, the body leaks the truth. Navarro teaches you to go beyond the face, to focus on what's happening below the neck. That's where the real signals are. 7. Real-life example, the lying interviewee. In one FBI interview, Navarro asked a simple question. Where were you yesterday afternoon? The suspect replied calmly, at home, watching TV. But Navarro noticed something. As soon as the question was asked, the man touched his neck, shifted in his seat, and his feet turned slightly toward the door. The verbal answer said relaxed, but the body screamed discomfort. He wasn't caught because of what he said. He was caught because his body said something different. 8. Your body is talking. What is it saying? Here's a twist. You're not just reading others. Others are reading you. Your body sends signals every moment. Confidence or insecurity. Openness or defensiveness. Interest or boredom. When you cross your arms, avoid eye contact, or fidget nervously, people notice, even if they don't realize it consciously. Navarro teaches that being aware of your own signals is just as important as decoding others. You can control your body language to become more influential, approachable, and trusted. Start by asking yourself, what does my posture say when I walk into a room? Do I project calm or chaos? Am I congruent? Do my words and body match? Because when they don't, people feel it. 9. Why this skill is a superpower. Imagine being able to tell when someone's nervous in a business negotiation. Detect discomfort during a first date, even when they smile. Know when someone is truly listening, or just pretending. Body language is the closest thing to mind reading we have. It allows you to sense hidden emotions, detect deception, and connect more deeply with others. And like any language, it can be learned. Navarro's promise is simple. The more fluent you become, the more powerful you'll be in every area of life, from interviews and negotiations to parenting and relationships. 10. Key takeaways from Chapter 1. People may lie with words, but rarely with the body. Learn to observe before you interpret. Comfort versus discomfort is your guiding compass. The face lies, the body leaks. Establish a person's baseline before spotting deception. You can improve your presence by becoming aware of your own body language. You've just opened the door to a hidden world, a world where gestures speak louder than words, and truth leaks out in silence. As you move through this audiobook, your powers of observation will grow, and so will your ability to influence, connect, and protect yourself. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the science behind body language. You'll learn what evolution, psychology, and survival instincts have to say about why we behave the way we do, and how to use that knowledge to become a master communicator. Stay sharp. Stay curious. The body never lies. Chapter 2. Evolution and the origins of body language. Before we can fully understand the language of the body, we need to go back in time, way back, to when humans couldn't speak at all. Imagine living in a tribe thousands of years ago. There are no words, no phones, no emails. Survival depends on two things: what you see and how quickly you respond to it. Someone raises their eyebrows and stiffens. There's danger. Someone lowers their head and shrinks back. They're submissive. Another person spreads their arms and smiles. They're signaling peace. These were our first conversations, spoken entirely through the body. Joe Navarro reminds us that body language is not a modern invention. It's a survival tool, hardwired into our biology. And to truly understand its power today, we must first understand where it came from. 1. Body language is older than words. Long before humans developed speech, we communicated through nonverbal cues. A nod for agreement. A turned back for rejection. Widened eyes for fear. Arms spread wide for a welcoming embrace. Our ancestors had to rely on these signs to avoid danger, identify allies, and show submission or dominance. It was the difference between life and death. In that primal world, words were luxury, but body language was essential. Even today, those ancient instincts remain. When we're scared, our bodies still react as if we're running from predators. When we see someone's hands hidden, we feel uneasy because we can't tell if they're a threat. Navarro explains that most of our body language comes from this deep evolutionary programming. 2. The brain and the body. A two-way street. The brain and body are always in conversation. Your body doesn't just react to emotions, it expresses them. When you feel fear, your body instinctively does several things. Your eyes widen to scan for danger. Your body leans back or freezes. Your arms cross to protect your core. You may touch your face, neck, or throat. None of these behaviors are random. They're survival reflexes. And Navarro emphasizes that they're not consciously controlled. They're automatic. That's what makes body language so powerful. You can train your face to smile, but when you're truly afraid, your feet will shift, your hands will fidget, and your breathing will change. And you won't even know it. Understanding these subconscious reactions allows you to detect what's really going on in others, and sometimes within yourself. 3. Why the limbic system rules nonverbal behavior. Deep inside your brain is a primitive structure called the limbic system. It's often referred to as the emotional brain, and it's responsible for your most basic reactions: fight, flight, freeze, flock, bonding with others. This system reacts faster than your thinking brain. If someone throws a punch, you duck before you think. That's the limbic system in action. Joe Navarro points out that body language is a limbic response. It's honest, immediate, and very hard to fake. That's why someone might say, "I'm not nervous," while their hands tremble and their voice shakes. Their thinking brain is trying to lie, but their emotional brain, the limbic system, is telling the truth. This understanding is crucial. If you want to read others accurately, pay attention to their limbic responses. 4. From cavemen to corporations, body language hasn't changed much. Despite our modern lives filled with skyscrapers, social media, and self-driving cars, our bodies are still living in the past. Here's what Navarro teaches us. A clenched jaw in the boardroom means the same thing it did in a prehistoric campfire: stress or threat. Someone leaning away from you at a dinner table is still showing discomfort, just as they would have back in a cave. A sudden blink or gulp during negotiation often signals uncertainty or anxiety. Our clothing, language, and cultures may have evolved, but our nonverbal communication hasn't changed much at all. And that's your advantage. If you can interpret these ancient signals, you can read people in any environment, from a classroom to a courtroom, from a coffee shop to a corporate pitch. 5. The hierarchy of the human body. Navarro introduces an important idea. Not all parts of the body are equally honest. Here's a quick hierarchy of reliability from most honest to most deceptive. Feet and legs. Extremely honest. Most people don't think to control them. Torso and posture. Honest indicators of comfort, anxiety, and attention. Hands and arms. Honest unless consciously manipulated. Face most deceptive. Easily trained and controlled. This is why Joe says, the feet are the most honest part of the body. Think about it. When someone's feet point toward the exit, they want to leave. Crossed legs may signal comfort or protection, depending on direction and context. If someone's upper body is smiling, but their legs are tense, you're seeing mixed signals. 6. Evolution explains discomfort behaviors. Let's say someone touches their neck when you ask them a direct question. Why? According to Navarro, this is a pacifying behavior, a self-soothing action that reduces stress. It's a modern version of grooming, a behavior seen in primates when they're nervous. Why does this matter? Because it tells you what the person is feeling emotionally, even if their words deny it. Other common pacifiers include rubbing the forehead, stroking the neck, wrapped arms around the torso, playing with jewelry or watches, excessive swallowing or throat clearing. These are not signs of lying. They are signs of psychological discomfort, and that's what you're really trying to read. 7. Children are the best example. Want to see raw, unfiltered body language? Watch a child. If a child is scared, they'll hide behind a parent, cry, cover their face, or run. They don't hide how they feel. Their bodies reflect their emotions perfectly. As adults, we're taught to suppress these reactions, but we don't unlearn them. We just disguise them. Navarro teaches that most adult body language is a muted version of what we did as kids. We may not run from a meeting, but we shift away in our chairs. We don't cry in front of others, but we touch our eyes or rub our temples. We don't scream in frustration, but we clench our jaws or crack our knuckles. Learn to look for these adult versions of childhood behaviors, and you'll gain insight most people miss. 8. Practical application, observation exercise. Joe Navarro encourages readers to practice awareness every day. Try this exercise. Go to a public place, a cafe, park, or mall. Sit quietly and observe people's body language. Don't listen to their words. Just watch their posture, gestures, and facial expressions. Ask yourself, do they look relaxed or tense? Are they leaning in or pulling away? What are their feet doing? Within minutes, you'll begin to see emotional states without hearing a word. Do this often, and soon, you'll be able to walk into any room and instantly sense who is confident, who is nervous, who is hiding something, and who wants to leave. 9. The body as an emotional barometer. Joe Navarro describes the body as an emotional barometer. It measures and displays the pressure of a person's inner world. When pressure rises, whether from fear, excitement, guilt, or attraction, the body leaks signals. You just have to tune in. Whether you're a parent sensing something is wrong with your child, a manager evaluating a job candidate, or a partner noticing your loved one seems distant, body language gives you the first clue. Not to judge, not to accuse, but to become more present, more aware, and more connected. 10. Key takeaways from Chapter 2. Body language evolved before spoken language. It's a primal survival tool. The limbic system drives nonverbal behavior, honest and automatic. Modern humans still display ancient signals under stress or threat. The feet and legs are the most honest indicators of emotional state. Children display unfiltered body language. Adults simply disguise it. Pacifying behaviors reveal discomfort, not necessarily deception. Practicing observation sharpens your ability to read emotional truth. The body is a storyteller, one that began speaking long before words were born. And by reconnecting with this ancient language, you gain access to a layer of reality most people overlook. You're not just learning to decode others. You're learning to navigate the world with insight, empathy, and awareness. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to establish a person's baseline behavior, the essential first step before detecting deception or distress. Because without a baseline, everything you observe is just a guess. Stay sharp, watch the body, read the truth. Chapter 3. Establishing the baseline. The first rule of reading body language. If you want to truly understand what someone's body is telling you, never make assumptions based on a single gesture. A nervous smile doesn't always mean guilt. A foot tap isn't always frustration. And crossed arms? They could mean anger, or just that the room is cold. That's why Joe Navarro's golden rule is this. Always establish a baseline. Before you can spot deception, discomfort, or attraction, you need to know what a person's normal behavior looks like, because every individual is unique, and without a baseline, your interpretation will be guesswork. Let's dive into how to build that baseline and why it's the foundation of every accurate reading. 1. What is a baseline? A baseline is a person's normal, relaxed behavior when they are not under stress and not feeling threatened. It includes their usual posture, natural gestures, typical facial expressions, eye movement patterns, the tone and rhythm of their speech, how they move their hands, legs, and feet. Joe Navarro compares it to understanding someone's default settings. Once you know how a person typically acts when they're at ease, any deviation from that becomes a powerful clue. For example, if someone usually maintains eye contact but suddenly looks away while answering a question, that's meaningful. If their hands are always expressive but go still during a certain topic, that shift could signal discomfort. If they suddenly blink faster or fidget when discussing an issue, they might be anxious about it. But remember, the key is comparison. Without a baseline, these behaviors could mean anything. 2. How to establish a baseline quickly. Navarro outlines practical ways to build a baseline in just minutes. Here's how to do it. A. Start with neutral conversation. Begin by asking simple, low-stress questions like, how was your weekend? What kind of movies do you enjoy? Have you traveled anywhere recently? During this, observe facial expressions, hand and foot movement, body posture, voice tone and pace, eye contact habits. This helps you see how they behave when they're comfortable and not guarded. B. Watch for consistent patterns. Notice how they typically sit or stand, move their hands, position their feet, use their eyes. These are their baseline behaviors. Mark them mentally. C. Be patient. Don't rush. Navarro reminds us that accuracy in reading body language depends on observation, not assumptions. Even law enforcement officers take time to build baselines before interrogating suspects. You should do the same in any conversation. 3. Context is everything. Let's say someone folds their arms. Does that mean they're angry? Maybe, but maybe not. Ask, are they cold? Are they tired? Is everyone else doing the same thing? Joe emphasizes the importance of context. Behavior only becomes meaningful when placed in the right situation. For instance, a woman might fidget at a job interview, not because she's dishonest, but because she's nervous. A man might avoid eye contact during a negotiation, not because he's lying, but because he's shy or respectful. When in doubt, look for changes from their baseline, clusters of behaviors, not isolated gestures, timing. Did the behavior happen immediately after a specific question or moment? Context baseline clarity. 4. Deviation is the clue. Once a person's baseline is set, you're ready to look for deviations. For example, if someone's hands usually rest calmly on the table but suddenly go under the table during a tough question, that shift matters. If their posture suddenly stiffens or leans back during a topic, their body is distancing itself emotionally. If they normally smile while speaking but suddenly stop smiling, that change reveals discomfort. These deviations are the goldmines of body language analysis. But don't assume what they mean. Use them as signals to investigate further, not as final judgments. 5. Be a student of subtlety. Navarro teaches that the best body language readers are not the loudest observers. They're the most patient ones. They notice a subtle lip twitch, a brief shift in foot position, a micro-expression of fear or contempt, a delayed response or unnatural stillness. These are not dramatic signs, but they are real. And the more attuned you become to a person's baseline, the easier it becomes to detect even the smallest variations. Think of it like music. If you know the melody well, you'll instantly hear when a note is off. It's the same with body language. 6. The power of clusters. Another rule Navarro repeats: never rely on a single signal. Look for clusters, 2 or more nonverbal behaviors that point to the same emotion. Let's say you ask someone a sensitive question and you observe the following. They shift in their chair. Their foot points toward the door. They rub their neck. Their voice cracks slightly. That's a cluster suggesting discomfort or anxiety. One of these behaviors alone might mean nothing. Together, they tell a compelling story. Clusters deviations from baseline powerful insight. 7. Real-life application, the interview room. In his FBI days, Joe Navarro used baselines to spot deception. He would begin interrogations by asking friendly questions. As he observed the person's default behaviors, eye movement, hand gestures, voice, he built a detailed mental map. Then, as the questioning got tougher, he watched for shifts. One man he interviewed was calm until asked about a specific night. Suddenly he crossed his legs away from Navarro, covered his neck with his hand, stuttered, looked down. Those deviations were clues, and when combined with hard evidence, they helped secure the truth. You can use the same approach in everyday life: job interviews, dates, negotiations, or even parenting. 8. Why baselines prevent misjudgment. Have you ever misread someone? Maybe you thought they were lying, rude, or uninterested, only to realize later they were just anxious or distracted. That happens when we jump to conclusions without understanding their baseline. Navarro warns that misreading body language can damage relationships. That's why building a baseline isn't just smart, it's ethical. You don't want to accuse someone of dishonesty just because they fidget. You want to understand what's normal for them, and then read their reactions through that lens. 9. Pay special attention to the feet and hands. Joe says that when building a baseline, watch the extremities. Feet show direction of interest or discomfort. Hands reflect nervousness, honesty, or deception. If someone's feet normally face you during a chat, but suddenly turn toward the exit, watch out. If their hands usually gesture openly but now disappear, something's changed. Feet and hands are often more honest than the face, which can lie. 10. Chapter takeaways. Let's review the core lessons of this chapter. A baseline is a person's normal, relaxed behavior. Without a baseline, body language interpretation is unreliable. Establish a baseline through neutral conversation and observation. Context always matters. Never judge based on a single gesture. Watch for deviations. They indicate emotional change. Look for clusters of behaviors pointing to the same emotion. Focus on the extremities. They're harder to control and more honest. A good observer is patient, curious, and non-judgmental. Every person you meet speaks two languages, the one with words and the one with their body. But without a baseline, you're reading a story without knowing the characters. Joe Navarro's insights remind us that to truly understand others, we must first watch them with empathy and curiosity. In the next chapter, we'll explore comfort and discomfort behaviors, the universal code that tells us when someone feels safe or threatened, honest or deceptive. Because once you know what comfort looks like, you'll recognize discomfort instantly. Observe patiently. Read deeply. Discover the truth beneath the surface. Chapter 4. The Comfort, Discomfort Paradigm. Your body can't lie. What if there was a simple key to understanding all body language? A framework so universal that it could help you decode people's thoughts, even if they said nothing at all? Joe Navarro calls it the comfort, discomfort paradigm. At its core, this principle is simple. The body is always asking, am I comfortable or am I not? Everything we do, every movement we make, is a response to our emotional environment. We lean in when we feel safe. We create distance when we don't. We show our necks when we're relaxed. We block them when we're anxious. Understanding this basic truth changes everything. 1. Why comfort and discomfort matter most. Forget trying to decode every gesture in isolation. Instead, ask, does this behavior show comfort or discomfort? This binary lens removes the confusion. It gives you a powerful filter to view every nonverbal cue with clarity. For instance, smiling, open palms, relaxed feet. Comfort, neck touching, lip biting, hiding hands. Discomfort. It doesn't mean someone is lying if they're uncomfortable, but it does mean something important is happening. Your job is to notice it, and then explore the context. 2. Comfort behaviors, signs of safety and trust. When people feel comfortable, their bodies naturally expand rather than shrink. Expose vulnerable areas like the neck and stomach. Lean in rather than away. Gesture openly, not rigidly. Here are some common comfort behaviors. A. Relaxed posture. Shoulders down, arms loose, torso open. There's no physical need to protect themselves. B. Head tilts. A tilted head signals trust and curiosity. It exposes the neck, one of the body's most vulnerable areas. C. Genuine smiles. Not just lip movement. True smiles involve the eyes. The Duchenne smile, which crinkles the outer eye muscles, is a mark of real comfort and joy. D. Open hand gestures. Palms up or open hands suggest honesty, cooperation, and peace. E. Feet. Pointing toward you. When someone's feet face you directly, it's a strong indicator of attention and comfort. 3. Discomfort behaviors. Red flags of stress and threat. Discomfort triggers the brain's ancient survival mechanisms. We don't need to think about it. Our body instinctively protects us by blocking, concealing, distancing, compressing. Here are key signs of discomfort. A. Neck touching or covering. This is one of the most reliable distress cues. Both men and women instinctively protect their necks when anxious or threatened. Navarro observed countless suspects in FBI interviews, touching their necks during moments of high stress, even hardened criminals. B. Lip compression. When lips press tightly together, it's a subconscious way of keeping words or emotions inside. It often signals frustration, anxiety, or withheld information. C. Face touching or rubbing the eyes. These pacifying behaviors are the brain's way of trying to self-soothe. When someone rubs their eyes, scratches their face, or touches their nose, it's rarely random. It often follows a tough question or awkward moment. D. Feet shifting or pointing toward the exit. Feet don't lie. If someone's upper body faces you, but their feet point elsewhere, they may want to leave or end the interaction. E. Crossed arms or leg barriers. While not always negative, crossed limbs can signal a defensive or self-soothing state, especially when paired with other signs. 4. Pacifying behaviors. The body's soothing mechanism. Here's where things get even more fascinating. When we feel stressed, the body often engages in pacifying behaviors, physical gestures designed to calm the nervous system. These include rubbing the neck or collarbone, stroking hair or playing with jewelry, exhaling with puffed cheeks, rubbing the thighs with open hands, adjusting sleeves, watches, or collars. Joe Navarro notes that the frequency and intensity of these behaviors can indicate the level of stress someone is experiencing. The more frequent the self-soothing gestures, the greater the discomfort. 5. The science behind it. This isn't guesswork, it's neuroscience. Our bodies react to stress through the limbic system, the oldest part of the brain responsible for survival. When danger, real or emotional, is detected, the limbic brain takes over. Heart rate increases, muscles tense, movements change. Self-soothing kicks in automatically. The beauty of this? Limbic responses are honest. Unlike spoken words, which can be rehearsed, manipulated, or faked, the body's limbic reactions are automatic and uncontrollable. Navarro emphasizes, the limbic brain doesn't lie. 6. Observing comfort, discomfort in real life. Let's look at a few everyday examples. Job interview. A candidate starts off calm. You ask about a gap in their resume, and they touch their neck, look down, cross their legs away from you. That's a clear comfort to discomfort transition. First date. Your date leans in, maintains eye contact, gestures freely. Comfort. Later, you bring up your ex. Suddenly, their feet shift away. They fold their arms. Their smile fades. Discomfort detected. Parenting. Your child is excitedly telling a story, hands waving, posture open. Then you ask about school grades. They look down and scratch their arm. That change matters. 7. Don't jump to conclusions. Ask questions. Here's a critical warning from Navarro. Discomfort doesn't mean deception. It might mean embarrassment, fear of judgment, stress from another issue. That's why reading body language isn't about accusing. It's about noticing, then gently exploring. If you see signs of discomfort, ask, is everything okay? Did I say something that bothered you? You look like something's on your mind. Want to talk about it? This creates a safe space and gives the person a chance to explain. 8. Using comforts, discomfort to guide communication. The most powerful communicators in the world, FBI agents, therapists, negotiators, watch for shifts in comfort. They adjust their approach based on what they observe. If someone shows discomfort, they slow down or change the topic. If they see comfort, they keep going or go deeper. You can do the same. Whether you're leading a team, having a difficult conversation, or navigating a sales pitch, The comfort/discomfort paradigm is your compass. Watch the signs. Follow the comfort. 9. 3. Golden rules of this chapter. Let's simplify everything you've learned into 3 powerful truths. The body reveals comfort or discomfort, always. Pacifying behaviors signal emotional distress. Discomfort doesn't equal deception, but it demands attention. 10. Chapter takeaways. Here's a final recap of the key lessons from the chapter. Every gesture reveals either comfort or discomfort. Comfort means openness, safety, and honesty. Discomfort means tension, stress, or withdrawal. Pacifiers, like neck touching or lip biting, are the body's way of self-soothing. Focus on clusters and changes, not isolated gestures. Never accuse. Use discomfort cues to ask better questions and build trust. Every day, people around you are revealing their emotions, not through words, but through the language of their body. If you watch closely, you'll see the truth emerge, quietly, honestly, and without filter. In the next chapter, we'll explore how specific parts of the body, starting from the feet upward, offer unique insights into what a person is really feeling. Because if you want to become a true body language expert, you must learn to read from the ground up. Stay grounded, stay observant, and let the body reveal what the mouth may hide. Chapter 5. Feet. The most honest part of the body. If you want to truly understand someone, don't start with their eyes, hands, or facial expressions. Start with their feet. Yes, the feet, often ignored and hidden from plain view, are actually the most honest part of the human body. Why? Because we rarely think about controlling them. 1. The truth beneath us. Think about it. We train ourselves to smile, to control our voice, to maintain eye contact. But feet? They move on instinct. Navarro emphasizes, the feet are the most honest part of the body because they are furthest from the brain and the least consciously controlled. They react to our deepest emotions, often before our face does. In high-stress FBI interrogations, even when suspects sat calmly with a neutral face, their feet would tap, bounce, or shift, exposing their anxiety. This is limbic truth in motion. 2. Direction reveals intention. The direction someone's feet point can reveal who or what they're most interested in, whether they want to stay or go, where their attention is really focused. Examples. Feet pointing directly at you, full engagement. One foot turned toward the door. A desire to leave. Feet pointing toward a specific person in a group attraction or interest. This is especially powerful in group settings or social situations. Watch the feet, and you'll spot hidden connections and secret intentions. 3. The happy feet phenomenon. Navarro coined a term that's both funny and fascinating. Happy feet. When someone is excited or pleased, their feet often bounce or jiggle slightly. It's a subconscious celebration, an emotional energy leak. You'll see this in job interviews when someone gets a question right, children about to open presents, adults receiving great news over the phone. Even elite poker players reveal joy through small foot movements before they catch themselves. Remember, the face lies, the feet don't. 4. Defensive feet behavior. Just as feet can express excitement, they also signal discomfort. Watch for these signs of emotional defense or withdrawal. A. Feet pulling back under the chair. This is a retreat posture, literally trying to hide or reduce physical presence. B. Legs crossed tightly. Crossed at the ankles or tightly over one another, often with feet tucked back. This signals nervousness or a need for self-protection. C. Feet pointed away from you. Even if the upper body is facing you, feet angled away can signal boredom, disinterest, a desire to disengage. 5. Feet during deception and stress. In high-stakes situations, negotiations, arguments, interrogations, feet offer reliable emotional tells. Here's what to watch for. Shifting weight from foot to foot, stress or uncertainty. Bouncing feet, suddenly stopping. Something serious is about to be said. Feet freezing completely. Extreme fear or mental overload. One of Navarro's favorite tactics during an interview was to suddenly shift topics and watch the suspect's feet. Even if their face stayed neutral, their feet often gave away tension or interest. 6. Cultural consistency of foot behavior. One reason foot cues are powerful is that they're culturally universal. In nearly every culture, turning feet towards someone is welcoming. Turning them away is dismissive. Happy feet signal joy. Withdrawal signals fear or discomfort. While some gestures, like handshakes or eye contact, vary across cultures, the limbic foot response is a global truth. It's part of our evolutionary heritage. 7. Real-life scenarios. Reading feet in action. Let's walk through a few real-world examples. A. The first date test. Two people sit across from each other. One leans forward, smiling, but their feet are pulled back under the chair, ankles crossed tightly. This signals anxiety or emotional retreat, despite the smile. B. The business meeting. In a room full of people, a potential client listens politely, but their feet are pointed toward the exit, legs tightly crossed. They're ready to leave, mentally and physically. C. The argument at home. Your partner says, "I'm fine," but their feet are bouncing nervously. That's not fine. That's suppressed tension. 8. How to respond to what the feet reveal. Once you learn to spot foot cues, you gain an edge, but only if you use it wisely. Don't confront someone about their foot behavior. Adjust your approach based on what you see. If someone's feet show discomfort, consider backing off, softening your tone or changing the topic. If their feet show openness and comfort, you can deepen the interaction. The feet give you the emotional weather report. Use it to navigate better. 9. Feet in deception detection. In deception scenarios, Navarro advises watching for sudden foot stillness during tough questions, shuffling or stepping back unconsciously, one foot turning away mid-conversation. These cues don't prove someone is lying, but they do reveal discomfort. Combine these signs with facial expressions, voice tone, and timing, and you get a clearer emotional picture. 10. Chapter takeaways. Let's recap the secrets the feet reveal. Feet are honest. They react before we can control them. Direction matters. They point to what we care about. Movement reveals mood. Happy feet, nervous feet, still feet. Each says something. Disengagement starts at the feet. Watch for turning away or pulling back. Use foot cues to guide your strategy, not accuse. So often we look people in the eye trying to find the truth. But next time look down. In the subtle tap, in the tiny turn, in the bounce or the freeze. There it is. The truth we try to hide with words often escapes through our feet. In the next chapter, we'll move up the body to the torso and arms and explore how posture, barriers, and limb positioning give away far more than we realize. Keep your eyes low, your awareness high, and your curiosity open. Chapter 6. The torso, hips, and chest. Revealing the core of emotion. While the feet may be the most honest, the torso, which includes the chest, hips, shoulders, and belly, is the emotional command center of the body. Joe Navarro emphasizes that the torso reveals how safe, confident, or threatened we feel at any given moment. It's the bridge between thought and movement, and it gives away more than most people realize. 1. The torso. Our comfort barometer. The torso is where we protect the most vital organs. When we feel safe, our chest expands, shoulders open, and posture is upright. When we feel threatened, we instinctively hunch our shoulders, pull in our arms, tuck in our chests, turn our torsos away from perceived threats. This is evolutionary, protecting our heart, lungs, and abdomen from harm. 2. Leaning in versus leaning out. Leaning in. When someone leans their torso toward you, they're engaged and interested. It signals comfort, trust, emotional closeness. This is why lovers lean into each other and strangers lean away. Leaning out. When the torso leans away, even subtly, it can signal discomfort, disagreement, boredom, a desire to escape. You'll see this in meetings, dates, and interviews. Even if the person is nodding or smiling, if their torso leans back or twists slightly away, they're not fully in. Navarro's advice: don't just listen to what people say. Watch which way their body is pointing. 3. The power of the chest and shoulders. The chest is a confidence display. When people feel powerful or proud, they puff out their chest, raise their chin, drop their shoulders back. This posture is often automatic in athletes who win, leaders giving speeches, or people making bold statements. Closed chest. When someone's shoulders round forward and chest collapses, it's a cue of low confidence, sadness, defeat, fear. This turtling posture shows retreat and vulnerability. 4. Hips. The true power base. Hips may seem like a neutral area, but they hold immense nonverbal power. When someone places their hands on their hips, Navarro explains, it's often a territorial and dominance display. It makes the body appear larger and ready for action. Other hip cues. Facing you directly. Confidence, assertiveness, angled or turned away. Discomfort, disinterest. Hips back, shoulders forward. Hesitation or uncertainty. Gender variations. In women, exaggerated hip movement can be a subconscious attraction display. In men, wide hip stances often signal dominance or aggression. 5. Torso turning, the silent goodbye. When someone suddenly rotates their torso away during a conversation, while keeping their head turned toward you, it often signals they want to leave. They've mentally checked out. They're experiencing discomfort. This is called ventral denial, a protective movement to shield the body's front. It's subtle, but extremely revealing. 6. Torso. During stress and deception. Navarro points out that during deception or extreme stress, people often cross their arms, clutch their stomach, or hunch forward. These are self-comforting behaviors, protective shields. Other signs. Arms pulled tightly to sides, insecurity or tension. Covering the torso with objects, like a briefcase or pillow. A form of creating distance. Rapid shifts in torso position, discomfort, mental conflict. Even trained liars have difficulty masking their core discomfort when they feel exposed. 7. Personal space and torso orientation. Torso direction is one of the clearest signs of true interest. If someone's torso is directly facing you, especially with their chest open, it means they're emotionally present, they're engaged. They see you as the primary focus. If they face slightly away, it may indicate split attention or social formality. This plays out in romantic relationships too. Couples who consistently face each other during conversations report higher emotional intimacy. 8. Real-life torso observations. A. The fake smile, real disengagement. A coworker smiles and laughs, but their torso subtly angles away from you. You sense something's off, and you're right. The torso doesn't lie. B. The parent's shield. When a child is scared, they often hide behind a parent, placing the parent's torso between themselves and the perceived threat. Instinctive shielding. C. The confident entry. Someone walks into a room, upright, shoulders back, chest forward. Before they even speak, the posture commands respect. 9. How to use torso cues in your favor. Navarro doesn't just teach you to read others. He also teaches how to use body language to project confidence and build trust. Here's how. Keep your torso open when speaking. No crossed arms or clutching items. Face people directly to signal full engagement. Mirror their posture slightly to create subconscious rapport. Be aware of sudden shifts in your own body orientation. They often reveal your true emotions. Self-awareness is just as important as observation. 10. Chapter takeaways. Let's summarize the powerful lessons of the torso. The torso is the body's truth zone. It protects, opens, and reveals. Torso direction tells you who or what someone is truly focused on. Chest posture indicates confidence or submission. Shoulder behavior reflects stress or relaxation. Hips and core orientation signal engagement or avoidance. Movement away or turning is often the prelude to emotional or physical withdrawal. The torso doesn't just carry the body, it carries the truth. From subtle shifts to bold postures, this central region is a window into someone's comfort, confidence, and commitment. By paying attention to how people sit, stand, lean, and turn, you begin to decode what they truly feel beneath the surface. In the next chapter, we'll move into the arms and hands, the tools of expression, protection, and sometimes deception. Hands, as you'll soon discover, speak volumes, and when they go missing from view, the truth often does too. Chapter 7. The Arms and Hands. The true messengers of emotion. The arms and hands are some of the most expressive and most telling parts of the human body. They are the original tools of communication, even before language evolved. Joe Navarro emphasizes this. When it comes to body language, what we do with our hands often speaks louder than words. In moments of joy, fear, deception, and discomfort, our arms and hands act almost involuntarily. And by learning to read them, you gain a powerful insight into what people are truly feeling, even when they say otherwise. 1. The hands, evolution's emotional amplifier. Hands were critical to our ancestors' survival. Whether wielding tools or offering signs of peace or aggression, they were, and still are, the ultimate social signalers. Even today, in every culture, a handshake, a wave, or a pointing finger sends a clear and immediate message. When we see someone's hands, we feel more at ease. When they're hidden, clenched, or blocked from view, we instinctively feel suspicion or discomfort. Navarro puts it bluntly. When the hands go missing, trust goes missing. 2. Open hands. Honesty and cooperation. Open palms, especially when facing up or outward, are universally seen as honest, friendly, trustworthy, non-threatening. This is why leaders, speakers, and negotiators often use open palm gestures when speaking. They subconsciously communicate transparency. Even in ancient times, showing empty hands was a way to signal peace. I carry no weapons. You are safe. When people hide their hands, however, behind their back, in pockets, or under a table, it often causes subtle discomfort in observers. It's as if something is being concealed, even when it's not. 3. Hidden or clenched hands. Discomfort or deceit. When someone hides their hands during a conversation, it's often a red flag. It may indicate, nervousness, anxiety, deception, lack of engagement. Clenched fists are another cue, often associated with anger, frustration, or readiness to fight or flee. Even subtle finger rubbing or hand wringing can reveal deep emotional discomfort. Navarro explains that law enforcement often notices suspects' hands first, not their faces. Why? Because the hands show stress, tension, and intent before any words are spoken. 4. Hand-to-face gestures, self-soothing or deceptive. When someone touches their face, especially around the mouth, nose, eyes, or neck, it's often a pacifying behavior. Examples include rubbing the back of the neck, touching the lips, covering the mouth, stroking the chin. These are subconscious attempts to calm down, regulate stress, or hide emotion. In children, these gestures are overt, like thumb sucking. In adults, they're more subtle, but the intent remains the same. Frequent face touching during a tough conversation can be a clue to inner turmoil or deceit. 5. Crossed arms defensive, not always negative. We often interpret crossed arms as defensive or closed off. And while that's sometimes true, Navarro explains it can also simply mean the person is cold. They're comfortable that way. It's a habitual resting pose. However, in a tense situation, crossed arms often signal disagreement, resistance, withdrawal. To read it accurately, look at context and other cues, like facial expression, posture, and voice tone. If the arms are crossed tightly, fists clenched, and shoulders hunched, it's likely a defensive emotional state. 6. Arm spread and expansiveness, confidence. When someone spreads their arms, uses wide gestures, or places their arms on the back of a chair or table, they're showing comfort, dominance, or relaxed control. Leaders and confident individuals naturally take up more space. Conversely, arms pulled in tightly to the body often indicate insecurity, anxiety, a desire to not be noticed. One of Navarro's key insights: the more space people occupy with their arms, the more confident they feel. 7. Touch and connection. Touching others with the hands, on the shoulder, back, or arm can signal affection, support, authority, dominance. The intensity, duration, and location of the touch determine its meaning. For example, a gentle touch on the arm, empathy or connection. A firm grip on the shoulder, dominance or control. A quick pat, acknowledgement or formality. Touch is powerful, but easily misinterpreted. Always read the situation and relationship. 8. Fidgeting, repeated gestures, and anxiety. Rapid hand movement, finger tapping, nail biting, or twisting jewelry. These are displacement behaviors. They indicate that the mind is under pressure. These movements act as stress relief. In job interviews or interrogations, Navarro observes that even confident speakers will unconsciously fidget when they're unsure or lying. While fidgeting doesn't always mean deception, it always means something is off balance internally. 9. Hand gestures in speech. Enhancing or distracting. People who gesture naturally while speaking tend to seem more expressive, be viewed as more trustworthy, help listeners understand better. But excessive or erratic hand movements can become distracting. Navarro advises, watch not just if people gesture, but how they gesture. Controlled symmetrical gestures suggest confidence. Wild, disorganized ones can signal anxiety or a lack of clarity. 10. Real-life hand signals. A. The clasped hands in front pose. Someone standing with hands clasped over the groin area often signals submissiveness or nervousness. You'll see this when people are out of their element. B. The finger steeple. fingertips touching with palms apart. This steeple gesture is a powerful signal of confidence and authority. You'll notice it with CEOs, lawyers, and politicians who are sure of themselves. C. The hand conceal. If someone places an object, like a coffee cup, purse, or book, between you and their body, it's a subtle attempt to create distance or shield themselves emotionally. 11. How to use hands to build trust. Navarro teaches that by being aware of your own hand movements, you can instantly appear more trustworthy and confident. Try this. Keep hands visible when speaking. Use open palm gestures. Avoid touching your face when answering tough questions. Mirror others' hand gestures subtly to build connection. Use deliberate, calm movements to signal control. Your hands are constantly broadcasting your internal state. The key is to let them speak truthfully and clearly. 12. Chapter Summary. The Language of the Hands. Let's wrap up the vital lessons of this chapter. Visible hands. Comfort, trust, openness. Hidden hands, discomfort or potential deception. Crossed arms. Possible defensiveness. Check context. Open arms and gestures. Confidence and engagement. Self-touching stress or self-soothing. Fidgeting anxiety or mental conflict. Touching others, connection or dominance depending on context. The hands are emotional amplifiers. They don't lie. They reflect what the mouth may try to hide. You now understand the deeper messages of the arms and hands. These are not just physical appendages. They're emotional transmitters. In every gesture, every fidget, every clasp or spread, the body is telling a story. Your job is to see it. And in the next chapter, we turn to one of the most subtle yet powerful parts of the body, the face. It's where deception is attempted, but also where microexpressions reveal the truth in milliseconds. Chapter 8. The Face. The mask that sometimes slips. If the body whispers truth, then the face often shouts lies, and occasionally lets the truth escape in flashes. Joe Navarro reminds us, the face is where people most often attempt to control their emotions, especially when they want to hide what they're feeling. It's the least reliable source of truth when judged alone. But here's the twist. While the face is the most manipulated part of the body, it's also where microexpressions, tension leaks, and subtle giveaways live. Learn to read them, and you gain access to people's deepest, unspoken realities. 1. Why the face is a double-edged sword. From childhood, we're trained to put on a brave face, smile even when it hurts, and keep a straight face. This conditioning makes the face our most rehearsed mask. But as Navarro points out, even the best actors, on stage or in real life, can't hold the mask perfectly. When emotions surge, the real expressions break through, often in fleeting, involuntary twitches or changes that last less than half a second. These are called microexpressions, and they're the goldmine for any body language decoder. 2. The truth about microexpressions. Microexpressions are brief facial movements that reveal genuine emotions, even if the person tries to suppress them. They occur in 1/25 of a second, far too fast for most people to consciously control or fake. The most common emotional microexpressions are fear, anger, disgust, happiness, sadness, surprise, contempt. Navarro warns, spotting microexpressions takes practice, attention, and patience. But when you learn to see them, it's like watching someone's inner world burst to the surface. 3. The eyes. The emotional spotlight. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, and in nonverbal communication, this is truer than ever. Here's what Navarro teaches us about eye behavior. A. Pupil dilation. When someone is genuinely interested or emotionally aroused, positively or negatively. Their pupils dilate. You can't control this. It's entirely involuntary. B. Blinking. Rapid blinking can indicate anxiety, stress, lying, overstimulation. Slow, deliberate blinking might suggest arrogance or boredom. C. Avoiding eye contact. Avoiding eye contact may suggest discomfort, shame, fear, deceit. But beware, in some cultures or personalities, avoiding eye contact is normal. So, always read it in context. D. Prolonged eye contact. Too much eye contact can feel aggressive, intimidating, or confrontational. Or, in a manipulative context, it may be a tactic to convince or dominate. 4. The mouth more than words. While the mouth speaks, it also betrays emotions in subtle ways. A. Tight-lipped smile. A smile with lips sealed tightly suggests restraint, inauthenticity, concealed emotions. It's common when people are pretending to be happy, but aren't. B. Corner of the lips pulled down. This is a universal indicator of sadness or distress, even when no words are spoken. C. Smiling with the eyes. Duchenne smile. A genuine smile involves the orbicularis oculi muscles around the eyes, causing crow's feet and a sparkle. Fake smiles use only the mouth. Navarro emphasizes, learn to tell the difference between a polite smile and a real one. It's a key to reading sincerity. 5. Nose, nostrils, and flared expressions. The nose and nostrils also speak volumes, especially in expressions of disgust, anger, or intense focus. Flared nostrils may indicate readiness to act, frustration, intense effort, sexual arousal. Quick nose touching can be a pacifying behavior, especially during stressful conversations. It's also a common deception cue. 6. The jaw and chin. Where anger and tension hide. Jaw clenching is a classic sign of suppressed anger, frustration, intense control, fear. Grinding teeth or tightening the chin are usually efforts to keep it together emotionally. When someone suddenly clenches their jaw during a conversation, Navarro urges us to pause and reassess what triggered that tension. 7. Asymmetry. When one side tells a different story. Genuine emotions are usually symmetrical, the same expression on both sides of the face. When only one side moves, like a smirk or lopsided smile, it may suggest contempt, sarcasm, false emotion. A smirk, especially one-sided, is often a red flag in high-stakes situations like interrogations or negotiations. 8. Facial touching, stress and self-soothing. Just like the hands, the face is where people often perform pacifying behaviors under pressure. Examples: rubbing the forehead, stroking the cheek, touching the temple, covering the mouth briefly, pinching the bridge of the nose. These actions are signs of mental fatigue, decision stress, or emotional conflict. In business or interrogation contexts, a sudden increase in face touching often means cognitive dissonance. Their words and thoughts are clashing. 9. Eyebrows arcs of emotion. Eyebrows can be surprisingly expressive and honest. Raised eyebrows, surprise, interest, or mild alarm. Lowered and drawn together, anger, frustration, or intense concentration. One brow raised, skepticism, disbelief, or curiosity. Watch the eyebrows in reaction to a question or statement. They often betray the initial emotion before the person regains composure. 10. Facial tension. The deception thermometer. When people lie or hide emotion, they often struggle to maintain a neutral face. The tension builds in the temples, around the eyes, along the jawline. This isn't always easy to spot, but with practice, you'll notice when someone's relaxed expression is actually a mask under strain. One trick Navarro recommends: look for what's missing. A story told without matching facial emotions often signals incongruence. 11. Putting it together. Reading the face holistically. Never analyze one facial cue in isolation. Instead, ask, what was said? What just happened? What is the person doing with their eyes, mouth, and brows simultaneously? Does their facial expression match their words? If the smile is wide, but the eyes are flat, you may be looking at politeness, not happiness. If the person says, "I'm fine," but clenches their jaw and touches their face, they're likely far from fine. 12 Chapter Summary. The Face and Its Many Stories. Let's review the critical insights from this chapter. The face is the most controlled, yet sometimes the least reliable part of the body. Microexpressions are emotional slip-ups, brief but revealing. Eyes reveal stress, interest, deception, and intent. Smiles must involve the eyes to be genuine. Jaw and facial tension often reveal concealed emotions. One-sided facial expressions can signal contempt or falsehood. Facial touching stress and self-soothing. Eyebrows are dynamic indicators of emotional state. Master the face, and you begin to see what's hidden behind every conversation. The face is where people work hardest to hide their feelings, but it's also where truth leaks out. Now you've learned to see beyond the rehearsed smile or forced calm. You've begun to read what others desperately try to keep inside. In the next chapter, we'll explore a part of the body most often ignored, but equally rich in signals: the voice and the verbal gaps, the language of tone, timing, and what's not said. Chapter 9. The Voice, Verbal Gaps, and Incongruence. We've studied gestures, facial expressions, and posture. But what about tone, rhythm, and what people don't say? While Navarro's primary focus is nonverbal, he emphasizes the importance of paralanguage, the how of speech, rather than the what. It's not just the words that matter. It's how they're said, when they're said, and what is left unsaid. These elements create a symphony of clues that reveal sincerity, anxiety, or deception. 1. The sound of truth versus the sound of lies. Joe Navarro explains, truth usually flows. It comes out smoothly, without hesitation or overthinking. But when someone lies or hides something, their voice often hesitates, rises unnaturally in pitch, slows down or speeds up awkwardly, becomes less confident, uses filler words, you know. These are incongruencies, a mismatch between what the person is saying and how they're saying it. 2. Incongruence, the red flag of deception. Incongruence is one of Navarro's key tools for detecting lies. It happens when the verbal message and nonverbal behavior don't align. A person says yes, but shakes their head no. They claim they're calm, but look stressed. They say they're confident while their voice trembles. When words and body disagree, believe the body, because the body reacts faster and more honestly than the mind can lie. 3. Speech pauses and delays. When someone pauses before answering a basic question, they may be creating a lie, evaluating your reaction, avoiding the truth, buying time. Example, question: did you take the money? Answer, no. Why would I? Navarro notes the delay and hesitation often come before deception, and the added, why would I, is a defensive deflection, not a direct denial. 4. Repeating the question trouble. One classic deception indicator is repeating a question before answering it. Why? It gives the brain time to invent a plausible story, check your emotional state, frame a safe response. Example, question: were you with Sarah last night? Answer, was I with Sarah last night? Yeah, I was. Genuine responses don't need such buffering. 5. Verbal deflections and qualifiers. People who want to appear honest but aren't may use honestly to tell the truth. Let me be clear. Believe me. I swear. Navarro teaches us to be cautious with these. Why? Because truth doesn't need defending, but lies often do. These truth claims can sometimes signal inner guilt or the need to reinforce a false narrative. 6. Changes in voice pitch. A rise in pitch, especially mid-sentence, often indicates stress, fear, emotional arousal. This isn't about speaking loudly. It's about that slight, subtle shift in tone that suggests strain. People in difficult situations, like interrogations, often betray their discomfort this way. 7. The too much information trap. When someone offers more details than necessary, they may be compensating for a lie. Truth is simple, but deception often sounds like, I got home at exactly 6:37, I checked the mail, fed the dog, turned on the TV, watched the news for 13 minutes. That kind of over-explaining can be a red flag. 8. The silence speaks. Sometimes the most powerful cues come from what's not said. Navarro highlights the importance of strategic silence. After asking a hard question, let the silence sit. Watch how the other person reacts. People uncomfortable with silence may talk too much, reveal unintended truths, contradict themselves, display nervous body language. Silence isn't empty. It's full of signals. 9. Clusters of deceptive behavior. No single speech cue confirms deception, but when clusters emerge, be alert. For example, delayed answer, repetition of question, elevated pitch, too much detail, defensive language. Together, they paint a clearer picture of emotional conflict or dishonesty. 10. Matching the voice to the body. Navarro emphasizes the importance of congruence. When a person speaks confidently and stands tall, shares sad news and slumps with genuine sorrow, says they're okay but fidgets and avoids eye contact, the difference is revealing. Always analyze the voice with the body. When they match, the message is likely authentic. When they don't, dig deeper. 11. Real-life example, the job interview. Imagine a candidate says, I work great under pressure. But their voice quivers, has uneven pitch, comes with forced laughter, eyes dart and shoulders tighten. Do you trust the words? Or do you believe the nonverbal tension and verbal inconsistencies? As Navarro teaches, trust your instincts and the signs. 12. Chapter summary. The voice behind the mask. Here's what we've learned. Tone, pace, pauses, and silence are powerful nonverbal clues. Incongruence between words and body often reveals hidden truths. Speech hesitation, question repetition, and over-explaining signal discomfort or deception. Strategic silence can expose stress or manipulation. Always match verbal and nonverbal cues for the most accurate read. In conversation, listen with your ears and see with your eyes. Our words shape meaning, but our tone, rhythm, and timing reveal emotion. And when those don't align with the body, the truth becomes visible. In our final chapter, we'll bring everything together, building your complete skill set for nonverbal mastery in the real world. Chapter 10. Becoming a body language master in real life. After exploring the many facets of nonverbal communication, from microexpressions to posture, from gestures to voice cues, you are now equipped with a powerful toolset to understand people better, sometimes even before they speak a word. But mastery comes not just from knowledge, but from consistent practice, keen observation, and thoughtful reflection. 1. Building awareness in everyday life. Joe Navarro reminds us that becoming a body language expert isn't about memorizing every single gesture in a book. It's about cultivating awareness, training yourself to notice what others typically do in everyday situations, and spotting when something changes. Practice by observing friends and family in casual conversations, watching how people behave in public places like cafes or parks, paying attention to tone, pauses, and nonverbal signals during meetings. The key is to watch for baseline behavior, what is normal for that person, and then notice deviations that may signal something deeper. 2. Start small, stay patient. You don't have to become an expert overnight. Start with simple signs such as eye contact patterns, hand gestures when telling a story, how someone reacts when asked a sensitive question. Over time, these observations become intuitive. 3. Practice empathy, not judgment. Nonverbal signals tell you what someone feels or thinks, but they don't label a person as good or bad. Use this knowledge to build empathy and better communication, not to jump to conclusions or accuse. For example, a nervous gesture may reveal anxiety, not guilt. Crossed arms might mean discomfort, not hostility. Reading body language helps you understand people, not just judge them. 4. Use your skills to improve communication. Once you recognize nonverbal cues, you can adjust your own body language to appear more open and trustworthy. Detect when someone feels uneasy or disengaged. Respond with empathy to calm tense situations. Build stronger rapport by mirroring positive gestures. This skill improves relationships, personal, professional, and social. 5. Beware of cultural differences. Navarro emphasizes that body language isn't universal. Gestures, eye contact norms, and personal space vary by culture. When interacting with people from different backgrounds, be cautious about assumptions. Learn cultural norms and adjust your interpretations accordingly. 6. Don't overinterpret single gestures. Avoid the common mistake of reading too much into one isolated gesture. One twitch, one scratch, or one yawn doesn't tell the full story. Look for clusters, multiple signals that together reveal true feelings or intentions. 7. Develop your intuition. As you observe and analyze body language, you'll develop an intuitive sense, an inner radar for authenticity and deception. Trust this intuition, but always verify with more evidence. 8. Practical exercises. Navarro recommends these exercises to hone your skills. Observation challenge. Watch a conversation without sound. Try to guess the mood or topic from body language alone. Mirror practice. Practice your own gestures in front of a mirror to become aware of what you project. Video analysis. Watch interviews or movies and pause to analyze gestures and expressions. Journaling. Write down your observations and reflections to track progress. 9. Applying nonverbal skills in tough situations. In negotiations, interviews, or conflict, body language can be your secret weapon. Detect when the other party is uncertain or defensive. Use open body language to build trust. Spot signs of dishonesty or discomfort early. These skills give you an edge in reading people honestly and reacting appropriately. 10. Ethical use of body language knowledge. With great power comes great responsibility. Navarro stresses using these insights ethically, never to manipulate, deceive, or invade privacy. Instead, use your understanding to foster honest, respectful communication. 11. Final thoughts. A life-changing skill. Mastering body language transforms how you see the world and connect with others. It reveals the hidden emotions beneath words, the true intentions behind smiles, and the unspoken stories in every gesture. By paying attention, practicing patience, and applying these principles wisely, you become more confident, empathetic, and successful in your interactions. Remember, every person is an open book if you know how to read it. Keep observing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep connecting. Because understanding what everybody is saying is truly understanding the heart of human communication. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary of What Everybody is Saying by Joe Navarro.